good practice. At least we know the mic is working.
You can even hear us. Okay, go.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the DuPont Park and Recreation Commission for Monday, May 19th, 2025. It is 6:01 p.m. Ms. Walker, can you please help us with the attendance?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Commissioner Castellani,
Present.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Present.
Commissioner Mueller,
Present.
Co-Chair Barrow,
Here.
Co-Chair Forbes,
Present.
Commissioner Fester,
Present.
Commissioner Stansfield, and Commissioner White. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment for this evening?
Nobody has written in.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up is item number 3, approval of the agenda. Has everyone had the opportunity to look it over? Is there a motion for approval?
I motion for approval. I second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. Moving on to the approval of the minutes, item number 4.
Step back. You have to vote on that. The first and second, then a vote.
Oh, sorry. It's been a minute. All right. Approval, or may I have a vote of the approval of the agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. See. All right. Item number 4, approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes
That's from March.
from March 3rd?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March 3rd.
Second. All right, moved and seconded. May I have a vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that passes. Now moving on to item number 5, new business. 5.1, expanding recreation programs.
Thank you. One of the council goals and priorities for 2025 and 2026 was to expand recreation programs, as well as one of the goals in the Parks Master Plan update. So I wanted to give the commission a quick update on some of the progress that we've made on that, or are in the process of making on that. In the Parks Master Plan, you had identified that we wanted to look at potential opportunities to expand recreation programs. And one of the things that staff is currently doing is having conversations with the town of Steilacoom and the potential of utilizing their community center. We are, as a Parks and Recreation Department, serving the Steilacoom DuPont School District. Those are the kids that we're serving in our community. And we are probably at about 40% of the kids, I'd say 30 to 40% of the kids that are participating in our current programming are coming from Steilacoom. Those are the Steilacoom DuPont kids. And we're currently in conversations with the staff over at the Steilacoom Community Center and their city administrator as to how we could potentially utilize that community center. I don't know if any of you have been over there, but it's a pretty significant size community center. It seats 300 people. It has a little theater in it and a craft room and an outdoor area where you could have camps. It's 7 minutes from here. The average drive time in the nation per NRPA metrics is 9.5 minutes for a resident to drive to their local or closest community center nationwide. So it fits within those metrics. And we're just in current conversations with them as to how we could potentially utilize that community center. I just wanted to keep everybody updated, and I will continue to do so as we progress with those conversations. And that's all I have on that update, and you're welcome to ask any questions if you have any. No? Okay.
All right. With no questions regarding that, we move on to 5.2 of new business, Park Master Plan Historic Site Amendment. And
Okay.
Want me to go ahead?
Yes, but for full transparency, just for the public, Commissioner Barrow, since we're not able to put it on the screen, if you could please read the amendment, which the commission has a copy of, and then if after you read it, I could then go ahead and explain the process.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the Historical Society has requested that we add the 1833 fort site to the park master plan as a park. It wasn't included in the original park master plan that we spoke of. And the Wilkes Observatory was in there, but the wording wasn't as involved as it is in this proposed update or amendment to the program. So I'll read it to you. The amendment to the 2024 Park and Recreation Open Space and Trail Plan. The Park Commission is adding this amendment to Chapter 5, Section 5.2, Proposed New Park, Proposed Wilkes Observatory Park. Overlooking Puget Sound from just south of the mouth of Sequalichu Creek is a site known as the Wilkes Observatory Site. The Wilkes Exploring Expedition was an American naval expedition charged with conducting the exploration of Pacific and Arctic Oceans and the South Seas. This was the first major scientific exploration overseas by the United States government. Lieutenant Charles Wilkes, USN, led the expedition, and in less than 4 years, the men under Wilkes would confirm the existence of Antarctica and chart hundreds of islands and harbors in the South Pacific and map 800 miles of the Pacific Northwest coast. Charles Wilkes used the Fort Nisqually area for both his land and maritime exploration. He produced detailed charts of the waters of South Puget Sound, naming many places, including Gig Harbor, Anderson Island, Budd Inlet, Commencement Bay, McNeil Island, and Point Defiance. In the expedition, the final report Wilkes wrote, the establishment of an observatory also claimed my attention. A suitable site was found on top of the hill with hailing of the ships. In the early 20th century, the DuPont Company placed a historical marker on the spot of the Wilkes Observatory. This marker still stands on the site. This site should be developed into a park to include parking, interpretive signage, and site amenities such as benches that allow observation of the water. This site should also support access to the trails and create a local destination for trail users from other parts of the city. A future plan should be in place to reconstruct a full-size replica of the Wilkes Observatory. Proposed 1833 Fort Nisqually Park. In 1833, Chief Trader Francis Heron took command of the new Hudson Bay Company storehouse on the beach and moved it atop the bluff, and soon decided to locate it a little further into the prairie lands. By March of 1834, he had succeeded in developing a fully functioning fort. For 10 years at this location, Fort Nisqually became known for its fur trading and agricultural products. In 1843, the fort was moved about a mile away. The new site was chosen because it was closer to the water source and timber. The 1833 Hudson Bay Company Fort Nisqually site is 1.6 acres in size and is currently surrounded by a fence with a gate on the east side. This site is also surrounded by the home court golf course. The site marker monument set up in the 1920s is still in place in the middle of the fenced area near the old DuPont Company Road. It is currently not visible from the area outside of the fence. This 1833 Fort Nisqually site should be developed into a park prior to development A professional archaeological excavation needs to be completed. Once the archaeological report is complete, the site can be developed into a park destination by creating a trail from the Wilkes Observatory and building a trail from the Civic Center to the park. Establish a small parking area, add interpretive signage with the history and pictures, and add benches along the interpretive trail. A further plan would be to build a full-size replica of the buildings, the palisades with the picket fence and the bastions, so that people can experience the view and atmosphere of the time. In Chapter 8, Implementation, Section 8.1, Comprehensive Project List, P20, Proposed Wilkes Observatory Park, the project description should be changed to design a park to include parking, interpretive signage, and site amenities such as benches and trails. Build full-size replica observatory. Add this park to Section 8.1 Comprehensive Project List. So before I read that, the 1833 fort site was not included in the comprehensive project list at the time that we approved the park master plan. Proposed 1833 Fort Nisqually Park. The project description should be complete a professional archaeological excavation, build an interpretive trail from the Wilkes Observatory Park, add parking and benches, build a full-size replica of the fort structure. Chapter 8, the implementation section 8.3 Capital Improvements Plan B, Capital Improvement Program. We need to, it says to add in the table proposed Wilkes Observatory Park, design a park to include signage, site amenities such as benches and trails, and build a full-size replica observatory. Add in the table proposed 1833 Fort Nisqually Park, archaeological excavation, design a park, build an interpretive trail, add parking and benches, build a full-size replica of the structure, fort structure. I have to make some adjustments here. This is not the second one that I sent you. It's the first one. I sent you 2 of these. And so there were some wording changes in the second one that the Historical Society, after they read this, determined they needed changed. So I made those changes and sent you another copy.
I have it right here. So
we took out, they didn't want in there about the beach, moving the storehouse off the beach. They felt that was an insignificant statement under the 1833 fort site. So could you read that first 2 sentences on the changed copy
the first 2 sentences of the first paragraph.
of proposed 1833 Fort Nisqually?
Yes. The first 2 sentences of proposed 1833 Fort Nisqually.
Yes.
Yes. And my apologies, Robin, for printing the wrong version. The first 2 sentences. The 1833 Chief Trader Francis Heron, that sentence,
Yes.
took command of the new Hudson's Bay Company and built Fort Nisqually up on the prairie lead above Puget Sound. By March of 1834, he had succeeded in developing a fully functioning fort.
That's it. That was a change. And then the second change in there was the last sentence, that they moved the fort to the 1843 site. The new site was chosen because of its because it was close to, no, it wasn't timber. There's no timber in there. It was for agricultural product development.
So it's the last sentence of that paragraph.
Right.
A future plan would be to build a full-size replica of the buildings.
No, it's the sentence before that, or go up 2 paragraphs to the first paragraph.
Why don't I just read those 3 paragraphs?
Okay.
from where I left off. In 1843, the fort was moved a mile away. The new site was chosen because it was close to a freshwater source and a better location for farming.
That's
That's the-
that's the change. That was it. That's it.
Okay. All right, and I will email this to the commission as well.
So the Historical Society requested, because if we look back on our master plan, the Wilkes Observatory was originally proposed in a new park, but the 1833 fort site, which is surrounded by the golf course, was not, and they asked it to be in the plan as a park. And then implementation of the comprehensive project list. These are like these are like Excel spreadsheets. So these items would go in like that. They're not in paragraph form. These are part of a spreadsheet in the actual document for chapter 8. Okay, that's it.
So just for clarification, for the commission, the 1833 site was mentioned in the plan through the historic preservation plan. What the Historical Society is asking for is stronger language, which is what Commissioner Barrow has provided you with. And with that stronger language, so Commissioner Barrow and I spoke about this afternoon. And what's important for the commission to understand is that the Parks Master Plan is an ongoing working document that the commission should be working on all the time. And it has to be updated. It should be updated every 6 years in order to stay grant eligible. And having said that, it should be a goal of the commission to come to the council annually with amendments. So on May 27th, which is a week from today or tomorrow, we're going to the council with our recommendation to update the Parks Master Plan. We already have one amendment coming in, which is this amendment here. So this amendment will be the first amendment we make for the annual update in 2025. This will not be included with the Parks Master Plan update on the 27th because that's already going to council. So when we go to council with our first amendment, this may be one of 5 things that we want to amend to the update. So as we go through the year, if you as a commission say, hey, I really want to look at Iafrate Park, and we have some discussions about Iafrate Park, or there's an issue that comes up that we want to include in our Parks Master Plan, we can include that as an annual amendment. So we'll be going to the council annually with updates or amendments to the plan, and we can certainly do that. We just don't want to come to the council 3 or 4 times a year with another amendment to the Parks Master Plan. Does that make sense? Okay. So this will be our first amendment to a list of amendments should the commission desire to do so annually. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I hear you saying is basically every 6 years we do a full revision of the Parks Master Plan, but every year, once or twice a year, if we chose to, we have the option to do an amendment, present it to the council if we wanted to.
That's correct. But every 6 years, we absolutely have to.
I did have 2 questions. I think it's just 2. Are these sites, are they registered in like a National Historical Society? So what I'm concerned about is we know within the future of DuPont, housing is going to go around the home course. If we were to say, we talk about this proposed 1833, the Fort Nisqually site, is that a historical site right now today? Do we need to build around that? And is this language going to affect those future plans for our city?
I'll defer to Councilmember Barrow, who's on the Historical Society, who can answer
They are.
that.
Yes, they are both listed in the state historical registration, and they are owned by the city. This
Yeah.
property is owned by the city.
Okay, so they are on that registry already.
Yes,
Pre to today. Okay.
yes. So that's why in the 1833 Fort site, that an archaeological excavation needs to be done before any work can be actually done. You can't take any brush out, you can't do anything like that. An archaeologist has to make a report prior to anybody working that site.
Within that, oh, within
1.6
10
acres.
feet or 20 feet of that specific
No,
area.
it's 1.6 acres.
Okay, so with 1.6 acres of that area, but I'm at 1.7 acres, I can drop a utility line.
It's the golf course.
No, yeah.
Which the city has somebody already doing that right now.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
those were my questions. And then I guess the last question I just have on this is, with these being part of our master plans, how I interpret our past master plans is that it's not a commitment. We as the commission continue to rack and stack priorities and say, hey, we have an extra $100,000 in the budget. Let's go build that fort this year. Or
Okay, that's a great question. That's a really good question.
I appreciate
because
that.
I'm really glad you asked that question, because what Commissioner Barrow is putting out there is the recommendation. And I say that word very strongly. This is a recommendation that the Historical Society would like to build this fort. Just because that's in the, that's going to go to council. Council may or may not approve the Parks Master Plan. But when you put something on a list of, there's only so much money to go around. Something's got to come off that list. So the community at some point looks at, there's a pool of money. Are we going to light our baseball fields? Are we going to put money into rebuilding our community center? Are we going to replace our playground equipment? Are we going to build a fort at the 1833 site? What are the community priorities? Where are we going to focus our money on grants? So all of these projects need to be listed in the Parks Master Plan, and then the community, the council makes those priorities as to where they're going to spend their money. There are historic preservation grants out there that these projects could potentially qualify for. But I'm really glad you asked that question, because there's only so much money to go around, and the community and the council will set those priorities. The council will set those priorities based on community feedback. So just because it's on a list doesn't mean it's going to get funded.
Yeah, because what I like to see long term is using the agile based project management methodology, is where you list out the 30 things that DuPont Parks and Recs want to do, right? The farmers market, the fort, Patriot Athletic League co-teaming, right? And we list all those items out, and then we as a council rack and stack them and say, if the council asked us today, I have $1 million, Chris, what is the council's number one priority? I would like for us to always have a running assessment and say, this is what our number one priority is. Versus getting lost in what we've kind of done sometimes as debate on the parks, and I don't know if we can pull that from the comprehensive master parks plan. Like, I know it has overarching goals, but bottom line up front, a rack and stack of those 30 items that says, we got this COVID money or whatever money, we got to spend it before October. Let's invest in this, and we can go propose that to the council. I appreciate you talking about that, because recommendation is not action. It's a viewpoint.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I will refer you back to, and it was televised, and I encourage the whole commission to watch it. The council spent 3 days in a strategic planning session, and they have outlined their priorities. So if we ever get this windfall of money, they're going to go right back to those priorities, which is why at the beginning of this meeting, expanding recreational programming was one of their priorities. So they've done a really nice job outlining what their priorities are. The Parks Master Plan outlines what the commission's priorities are. But, again, we're just a recommending body. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say that under Chapter 8 is the list of improvements that we want, or things that we want to do, the comprehensive project list of all of the items that we have listed already that need to be done in the parks, or that we would like to include in the parks. I would also like to ask, can we vote on this tonight?
Yes,
With
you
the
can.
changes that.
Yes, you can.
So I'd like to ask for approval, somebody to motion.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be misremembering. I don't have it in front of me. It might have been in the old one, not the new one, but we do have them somewhat on there based on like, this is our short-term goals and this is our long-term goals. Was that in the new one or was that the old one?
That is in there for the historical sites. That is listed in the back, in the cultural part of the master plan. These particular parks, the Wilkes was included in the comprehensive list, but the 1833 fort wasn't, even though it's in the back of the master plan.
And what you identified in the master plan, Commissioner Fester, are your 6-year attainable capital projects.
Any other questions? So do we have someone who'd like to make a motion to present this amendment to the council?
I will make a motion to present the changes to the council.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor of presenting this to the council for amendment? Say aye.
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 And opposed?
I'm opposed. I don't like the verbiage of build a full-size replica fort structure.
All right, so that, now we move on, and I recognize that, Chris. And we have a majority though, but it will, so now we move on to item number 6.
Yes, but for the record, that passes 7-1.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Had to count.
Okay.
Announcements from members and staff liaisons, item number 6.
I just want to say that Parks Appreciation Day, Chris Fletcher and I went out and worked in Jensen Park with my young friend Justice Laurinaitis, and we had a really successful day. We actually have gone back on a second day to Jensen Park, and we're planning to be there on Friday at around 9 o'clock Friday morning to see if we can wrap up Jensen Park. So I just want to say thank you to Chris for being a part of the Parks Appreciation Day. That was really special. Thank you.
I have seen that park. It's looking great because it was so overgrown.
Thanks.
All right, anything else from the members? Any other members have anything?
Just want to take a quick second to thank the entire Parks and Recs team for the Patriot Athletic League Open Day. I think that was like 60 days ago now. I don't know, but it was a great event. I saw Robin giving out, I think it was popcorn over there at the station. So it was a great event. I was on the field. I think we lost our first game, but it's definitely seen all the work you do, because there's not one event in the city, especially I think the chili cook-off this weekend too, right? There's not a single event that happens in the city where you're not there. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, anything from staff?
Thank you. Thank you for your nice comments, but I want to thank the commission for all of your support and coming out for Park Appreciation Day and coming out to the events. You guys are all greatly appreciated, and for your leadership and direction and whatever else. So thank you. A bit of housekeeping. We need to talk about our June 3rd meeting. We have a couple of commission members, including one of our chairs, that is not available that day. So that meeting is scheduled for June 2nd. Would you like to talk about rescheduling that now, or is it easier for me to email everybody? Okay. I'm proposing, why don't I email everybody? Then we don't have to do this all on YouTube. We need to put our personal calendars on YouTube. Anyway, we've got our opening day farmers market coming up a week from Thursday, May 29th. And yeah, so we're ready to go. Season's kicked off. So thanks to everybody.
Would it be appropriate or inappropriate to bring up the Portaloo that you sent out, or was that brought up in the last meeting? That we have an additional one?
I will make a comment in my staff comment. We cannot have a discussion about it, but I'll make a comment about the Portaloo. You received an email from me that in addition to the porta potty at Chief Leshai, we are also putting an additional Portaloo out here at the trailhead at Sequalichie Creek. Yes. That's my comment. Okay, that's all I have.
All right, does anybody else have anything this evening? All right, then if there's nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned at 6:32 PM. Thank you all.